Okay, the next section will be State Senate. And we have a candidate for Senate District 19.
I move to nominate Courtney for State Senate District 19.
Oh, does somebody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay. I'm going to stay here in the interest of time, just in this seat, and address you. I want to keep it brief because we are running up on time, but I am passionate about this race, and as much as I enjoy our fight for ballot access, with that ballot access, we need to actually start getting elected, and I pledge to try my darndest to actually get elected to an office. So I would definitely love your support. Any questions?
Open it up to questions. Anybody have questions for Courtney? Okay, so in favor of none of the above. Anybody none of the above? Great. Moving on. So we've got, now moving on to State House of Representatives. House District 8, Jared Paul Stratton.
I nominate Jared Paul Stratton. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay, Jared, 5 minutes. If you do less than 5 minutes, we'll really like you extra, just because we're running out of time.
I will try to keep it very, very brief. I filed in the last hour to make sure that there was at least 2 choices for people. I'm a shy person. I don't have a lot of money to run. I wanted to make sure that people had the option when they got the ballot box. Is this close enough?
I think we can hear you.
I don't have a specific platform other than the Libertarian Party's platform. And in the interest of keeping things brief, I'll just go ahead and see if there's any questions. Please let there not be.
Any questions for Jared?
Question.
Kenny.
And you know, I feel your pain because I'm in the same. I'm going to have to address everybody in a second, and I have not a lot of experience. But what would be one priority here in the state that you feel deserves your attention as a legislator?
A lot of the things that get brought up in the legislative sessions are just very, very one-sided. They don't seem to really introduce a whole lot of other options, a whole lot of the smaller voices. Even issues that don't necessarily have a majority, but at least need to be heard, need to be considered or evaluated. If they're going to be rejected, not just rejected because they're the majority and they don't want to listen to it, but they need to have some reason. I'd like to make them answer to why they're kicking out so many of the smaller ideas. So.
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. So anybody for none of the above in this race? Going once, going twice. Good. Okay, moving on.
Okay, for the race of House District 16, I nominate Kevin Bryan. Can I have a second, please?
I second.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I'm running for House District 16. My main goals will be, I want to get the government out of our private lives as much as possible. I don't feel we need the state regulating massage parlors or hair braiding, and I would like to end the state's monopoly on alcohol sales, and and that's really it. So
You can call for questions.
Yeah, so any questions for Kevin? Anybody? Questions? Kevin, you got off scot-free, it looks like. Okay, so
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. Anybody none of the above in that race? Going once, going twice. Okay, moving on.
Okay, in House District 35, I nominate Chelsea Travis. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is anybody here to, or is Chelsea or anybody to speak on Chelsea's behalf?
This happens every year. Andy goes and speaks on behalf of her.
Oh, okay. Is that her over there?
Yes.
Okay.
People don't talk to each other anymore. They just text each other from across the room. And the text was, "I don't think I can do this. Will you get up and do it for me?" Chelsea, would you at least stand up? Chelsea was 2 years ago the youngest candidate for the legislature probably in history, and when I say that was she wasn't quite 25 on election day. She wasn't 25 until 2 weeks after election day, and we had to fight with the Attorney General's office to get her on the ballot, but we did. She's running again. She's also my secretary. She's also my best friend, and she's also my #1 ally in the fight against the drug war. And I want to, by the way, make it very clear that I have yet to have my first cup of coffee. I'm a Mormon boy from Utah County. I've never tried any of this stuff. I'm not going to ask Chelsea. But she is a wonderful ally and a wonderful friend, and she's also turning red and being very shy. You can talk to her personally when we have a little break and ask her whatever questions you'd like, but she'd be a fine member of the legislature if you elected her. Thanks.
You guys stay up there for questions, please. Andy, stay for questions.
Any questions?
Any questions for Andy on behalf of Chelsea? Going once? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, Andy, for making you stay back up there. So anybody, none of the above in this race? Anyone? Okay, moving on. Next.
Okay, House District 47, I nominate Chase Lantis. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay. Is Chase here today? Yeah, he is. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chase Lantis. My biggest personal complaint is the government's fingers into personal business. I'm sure some who are involved in that understand that. That's my biggest gripe. I'm also annoyed with the control of alcohol consumption in this state. And I'll take questions.
Questions for Chase? Anyone? Chase gets off easy again, too.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, Chase. None of the above in that race? Anyone? No. Okay, next.
Okay, House District 59, I nominate Kenny Barlow. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Kenny, would you like to speak on behalf of yourself?
I'd love to. You all have to I have to apologize for my appearance because I've been running cables and operating stuff, so I'm not appropriately dressed.
I will say, sorry to interrupt, Kenny and Courtney and a few others are responsible for getting us the tech for Gary Johnson, so that alone is awesome. Anyway, sorry, I just had to
I appreciate
give you props.
Thanks. I have never done this before. I'm a political science student. I graduate next Friday from UVU. I'm a fellow Mormon boy from Utah County. But what I've been working on for the last year, if you guys want to know about me, just ask. But here's just some of the stuff I've been doing. Over the last year, I've been working tirelessly with the UHA, the Utah Hospitality Association, in their lawsuit against the state over the liquor. You might have seen it on the news. I too find it ridiculous that laws are being passed without consideration of facts. So much so that because of a meeting we had with Representative Wilcox, he had to draft legislation that said any new liquor legislation had to actually go through, it had to be vetted through a clearinghouse for DUI statistics. The fact that they weren't doing that in the first place frustrates me. Because I can get up and say, hey, you know what? Overconsumption leads to drinking, leads to deaths. So by all means, vote for this so we can restrict trade, so that we can not let adults be adults. Are you freaking kidding me? I feel the same way about the war on drugs, private property. It frustrates me, and no one is getting represented down in Utah County. I mean, and if there are, I apologize, but I mean, it's frustrating. It really is. And so that's my number one priority, would be to work with the Utah alcohol laws and get privatization model fast, because we need it. There's no reason that 60% markups need to be turned around and put into school lunch programs. It's not 86, thank you. It is not a temperance issue. It's been clear because the state can discount their own liquor. So if it's a temperance issue, why have a full functioning business model? I say give that business model to the private enterprises and let the people drink, for God's sake. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm in that mode. That's what I've been doing for the last year.
Okay, 30 seconds.
So does anybody have any questions for me?
Questions for Kenny? Anyone? Preaching to the choir, Kenny.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so thank you, Kenny. Anybody, none of the above? Okay, and who's next? So I move.
Can you move?
I don't know. I can't move. You move.
I'd like to move to extend the business meeting to 12:30. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
So yay.
Go ahead. I don't know if we'll be able to get all of our business
Yeah,
done.
because we're not finished. We got 3 minutes.
Where is your time agenda?
The time agenda?
Yeah,
On
we
the
have a
website.
schedule with speakers and whatnot, so even these questions are eating into that. So I appreciate your concern, but if we could just keep moving and get done with it. Okay, great.
When we adopted the agenda from the website, we also adopted the timeline that was probably on the website. So I would
Okay,
assume
so we
that-
voted yay. Nays, anybody who doesn't? Okay, good. Nay. Okay, great. So that fails, or it carries. Let's keep moving to 12:30. Let's go to the next candidate.
Okay, for House District 72, I nominate Barry Evans Short. Can I have a second, please?
Yeah, I'll second.
Would Barry like
Can
to
I
speak?
say, as he's walking up, thanks, Barry, for coming all the way up from Cedar City. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. And Kenny, don't ever apologize for how you're dressed. Ties are a sign of slavery. I do not wear slave gear. If you want a revolution, there's nothing like your own. Libertarianism is not a political philosophy. It's something that happens up here and in here. You're not a candidate, you're an evangelist, or I guess in Utah you're a missionary. Get out there and sell it. Let people know we can be free. We don't need people to tell us what to do. But when I'm talking to people, I like to talk about practical things. You know, we've talked a little bit about cannabis, we've talked about alcohol, and I talk about those a lot when I'm talking to people in Iron County. But I don't talk about it from the standpoint of, well, we ought to do this because we ought to be able to make their own choices. Let's talk about it economically. Let's talk about cannabis. Cannabis is the most valuable cash crop that's grown in Iron County. By about 10 times. And every summer, uniformed federal agents come into the county, seize the most valuable cash crop, and take it and destroy it. Now, if it was any crop other than cannabis, those people would be lined up with guns. But they're not. Well, you know, if we had cannabis or even industrial hemp legalization in Utah, it would be the best possible thing that could happen to Iron County. The stuff grows like crazy with virtually no water, and water's the biggest problem in southern Utah by far. We're talking about something that would be enormously vital to the economic future of Iron County. Forget about whether you use it or not. Sell it to people outside the state. I don't care. But our guys who are down there are farmers who are struggling. They'd have the best cash crop they've ever had in their lives. More money than they could imagine. The other thing I like to talk about is the DABC.
30 seconds.
The DABC, collectively, and the legislature and the rules they give them, don't have the business expertise to run a hot dog cart. That's the problem here. They lose money, they're terrible. Could I have an extra minute? I just want to tell one little story about something that's happening with the DABC in Iron County right now.
It'll just cut into your questions.
That's okay. Cedar City is about to get Utah's third winery. The Iron Gate Winery is getting ready to open in June. They went to the DABC to get permission, the proper license so that they could have tastings and sell their wine to people who come for tastings. And the DABC said, yep, fine, no problem. They looked at all their plans they had, they approved it. Went to the City Council. City Council said, great, we love that. So they started work on their winery and tasting room. And they've got it, they had it about 2/3 of the way done. And suddenly the DABC said, oh, I'm sorry, you can't have that license. You're 18 inches too close to the Episcopal Church. Because the law says you have to be X number of distance away from any school or church. Now, the Episcopal Church doesn't care. They're happy to have the winery nearby. It's not the government's business to be offended on the part of people who aren't offended.
Okay, so I'm going to ask if we can move to questions just in the...
Absolutely. Any questions?
Any questions for Barry? Barry, you did it. Oh, we've got one in the back.
Is it not true that Iron County is the same latitude as both the Emerald Triangle, has the same climate as both the Emerald Triangle and the Kush Valley, Afghanistan, and marijuana?
Oh, interesting.
Marijuana cultivation.
Well, all I can say
Barry,
is the
Barry,
degree
can
to
you
which
repeat-
it grows
wait,
in
sorry.
Iron County suggests that's probably true to me, because it seems to be great.
Barry, can you repeat what he said, because he didn't have a microphone?
Sure. He was asking about whether it was at the same elevation and the similar climate to the areas in India where marijuana apparently originated and all. And all I can tell you is it seems to grow like weed. It was also, interestingly, that section of Utah was originally Utah's area for viticulture, for wine grapes. When Brigham Young sent the people down there to grow, down around Tokerville, a little bit south of Iron County, was the center of wine growth, when he said that it was okay for Mormons to drink wine, but they should only drink wine that's grown by Mormons.
There it is.
Yeah, Aaron.
Exactly.
Is there a microphone?
Yeah, can we get a microphone?
If you want to give him a microphone, please. Thank you. Is it off now? We've got a little bit of a question now. Is it dead now?
Is it talking now? Oh, there we go. As you did talk about industrial hemp, would you compromise on, at least at first, it's a stepping stone, varieties of low THC levels?
Excuse me?
I said, as a stepping stone, would you compromise on varieties of hemp of low THC levels?
I think any progress would be good progress. Certainly there. Just as a side thing, one of the things that kind of pushed me in this direction was that I did run 2 years ago, and I was absolutely astonished by the number of people who asked me if I would support medical marijuana. I was blown away. I did not expect that to be an issue to even come up in southern Utah, and people kept asking, would you support medical marijuana, including a number of doctors from the hospital in town who called me, urging me to stand in favor of that. So I don't know entirely what's going on in Iron County, but there's certainly some movements in directions that I would never have expected, and I'm glad to see them.
Okay, time, guys. Thank you, Barry. So none of the above? Anybody for none of the above? Okay, great. So